New details have emerged in the investigation into the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Following the September 8th discovery of the 15-year-old's body in the front trunk of a Tesla that was registered to singer David, detectives served a search warrant for the Hollywood Hills property where the vehicle was near before it was towed to a local impound lot, according to the Los Angeles Times.
In the last 48 hours, new court filings revealed that investigators uncovered security footage from a Hollywood Hills property rented by D4vd, showing a figure entering and leaving at odd hours the night before Celeste's body was identified. That footage is now central to the case, and forensic analysts say it might pinpoint who carried the body to the car. The lease for that property has been broken, evidence seized, and every shred of data is being poured over as the public demands answers. Welcome to Crime Bits. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe and smash that bell icon so you don't miss the next deep dive. Tonight, we're going to walk through the full story of Celeste's disappearance, unravel the mistakes, the mysteries, and those jaw-dropping new leads. Back in 2024, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, just 15, went missing not once, but 3 times. Each time she was found, only to vanish again. Some friends say she was restless, others say she felt trapped. But nobody imagined how dark things would spiral. Then on September 8, 2025, the case cracked open. A Tesla impounded in Los Angeles emitted a foul odor. When police opened the front trunk, they found a body, badly decomposed and wrapped in a bag. Identity was unclear at first. On September 16th, the medical examiner confirmed it was Celeste. The investigation escalated overnight. That Tesla was registered in the name of D'Anthony Burke, D4vd, chart-topping artist. A name that once brought excitement to fans now stirred fear, shock, and 1,000 questions. What connection did they have? How did Celeste end up in his car? Why did she go missing so many times? Now, with the newly revealed surveillance footage, investigative teams believe they're close. The timeline of that footage, exfiltration from the home, movements between rooms, entry codes, all may hold the key. Everything hinges on interpretation of blurry footage, phone metadata, and digital trails. So let's dig deeper. I want you with me on this, thinking, asking, what really happened that night? Celeste wasn't a celebrity. She wasn't famous. She was a 15-year-old girl from Los Angeles who should have been in school, hanging out with friends, maybe arguing with her parents over phone time like any teenager. Instead, her name is now tied to one of the most unsettling stories in the music world. When investigators confirmed that it was her body found in the Tesla, everything about the case shifted. Fans weren't just heartbroken, they were confused. How did this child end up inside a vehicle tied to a global music star? And if you think about it, that confusion is exactly what makes this case so chilling. It's not just the tragedy, it's the unknowns, the silence, the unanswered questions that won't go away. Here's what we know. Celeste had a complicated past year. In 2024, she was reported missing 3 different times.
Celeste was a missing person from the age of 13 on. Her disappearance was reported to the Sheriff's Department of Riverside County, where she lived. In April of 2024, that report went in. But she had been a runaway at least twice before that, in January and again in March of that year. Now TMZ has obtained video from the March disappearance. It was captured by a surveillance camera down the street from Celeste's home in Lake Elsinore, California.
Police reports confirmed it, each time she reappeared, but no one really explained where she had gone. Was she running away from something? Was someone luring her back into dangerous situations? These disappearances painted a picture of a teenager in crisis, but no one could have guessed where it would lead. Then comes the detail that the internet can't stop talking about, the tattoos. Celeste had the word shh tattooed on her finger. And yes, people quickly pointed out that a D4vd had the exact same tattoo. Was it a coincidence? Was it a connection? Or is the internet grasping at straws? The truth is, we don't know, and that's what makes this so haunting. When the Tesla was impounded, nobody thought twice about it. Cars get towed in Los Angeles every single day. But imagine how long Celeste's body sat there, hidden in the frunk, while life went on outside. People driving past, walking past, having no idea what was inside. It wasn't until that terrible smell forced workers to investigate that the truth started to unravel. And as if that wasn't enough, The fallout started almost immediately. D4vd's tour dates were canceled. The deluxe edition of his album Withered was pulled back. Collaborators like Kali Uchis began distancing themselves, even going as far as removing songs they'd worked on with him from streaming platforms. Figure skater Elisa Liu even changed the program music she had planned to skate to because it featured his songs. That's how wide the ripples spread from this case. And yet, through all of this, one thing remains unclear. What was the actual relationship between Celeste and D4vd? Were they close? Were they strangers? Was there something darker happening behind the scenes? Investigators have not confirmed anything, and the silence is fueling even more speculation. Now, with new footage pulled from security cameras at that Hollywood Hills rental, detectives are piecing together a timeline. Someone was seen going in and out of the property the night before Celeste's body was discovered. Forensic teams are cross-checking the footage with phone records, looking at who pinged towers near the area, who entered gate codes, who connected to the Wi-Fi. These small, technical details could end up breaking the case wide open. But here's what really gets me, and probably gets you too. If this was simply a tragic coincidence, why the silence? Why the sudden move from the Hollywood Hills rental after police seized electronics and computers? Why cut off the lease so quickly, almost like running from the scene? Those aren't just random events. Those are choices. And in true crime, choices always leave trails. Think about this for a second. A 15-year-old girl vanishes. She's found later, not in some abandoned house, not in a remote field, but in the trunk of a car tied to a celebrity. And yet here we are weeks later, and no arrests have been made. Doesn't that feel strange to you? Police have called this a homicide investigation, but officially they've kept their cards close to their chest. No one has been named as a suspect. No charges have been filed. That silence is deafening. For Celeste's family, it's torture. For the public, it's a breeding ground for theories. And some of those theories get pretty dark. Fans and critics alike have started revisiting D4vd's music, listening to his lyrics with fresh ears. Songs like Romantic Homicide that once felt like raw teenage angst now feel eerie, almost prophetic. Was he telling us something? Was it just art imitating life? Or are people trying too hard to connect dots that don't exist? But then came the Hollywood Hills search. Police served a warrant on a property tied to D4vd. They seized computers, hard drives, and other electronics. To investigators, that's standard procedure. But to the public, it meant something more. It meant there could be a digital trail. And if there's one thing we know about crime in the modern world, it's that digital footprints are harder to erase than physical ones. The twist? Just days after the raid, D4vd, or at least his team, moved out of that property. The lease was broken. The home emptied. Was that damage control? Panic? Or just a response to the public pressure? Nobody's saying for sure. But let's be honest, timing matters. And this timing raised eyebrows everywhere. Meanwhile, Celeste's family finally got her remains back after the coroner released them. Imagine that moment. Weeks of uncertainty, speculation, media attention, and then the phone call comes. You can claim her body now. That's a level of heartbreak no family should have to face. They're planning her funeral, trying to honor her memory, while the entire internet debates what happened to her. And here's another chilling detail. At the time her body was found, the medical examiner couldn't determine her cause of death. The decomposition was advanced. Toxicology tests were ordered, but results have not been released. So right now, we don't even know how she died. Was it violence? Poison? Neglect? Every option is on the table. Think about how unsettling that is. A child ends up hidden in a celebrity's car and we don't even know what killed her. That's the heart of this mystery. Now, let's circle back to the new footage I mentioned earlier. Security cameras from that Hollywood Hills rental reportedly show movement, someone entering and leaving the house during the critical hours before Celeste's body was identified. Investigators haven't confirmed whose face is on that tape, but if the reports are accurate, it could be the breakthrough moment. Because footage doesn't lie. Combine that with phone records, digital evidence from the seized electronics, and witness statements from neighbors, and suddenly a clearer picture starts to form. But here's the catch. Investigators aren't releasing that picture yet, which makes us ask, why? Are they building a case so solid it can't be shaken? Or is there more to the story than we're even aware of? And while all of this unfolds, D4vd's silence has only fueled speculation. No press conferences, no sit-down interviews, just a pulled tour and collaborators cutting ties. It's like he disappeared from the public eye just as this story exploded. And that silence, whether intentional or not, speaks volumes. So here's the tension point. A teenage girl is dead, her body hidden in a car registered to one of music's rising stars, and weeks later, no one is behind bars. Does that feel like justice? Or does it feel like power and influence slowing things down? When we think about crime stories, there's usually a clear narrative. Someone disappears, police find evidence, an arrest is made, and justice begins its course. But in Celeste's case, that clarity isn't here yet. And maybe that's why it grips so many people. It feels like a puzzle where half the pieces are still missing. The biggest shift in the investigation came not from the Tesla itself, but from what detectives started pulling together afterward. Digital forensics, those little details that most people don't think twice about, are now front and center. Every time a phone connects to Wi-Fi, every time a smart device picks up motion, every time a camera blinks to life, it leaves a trace. Detectives have those traces. And it's those traces that could answer the question we've all been asking. Who placed Celeste in that car? The body didn't get there by itself. Someone physically moved her, and that act leaves behind fingerprints, data points, and timestamps. What makes this even more unnerving is that Celeste wasn't a stranger to risk. Her repeated disappearances point to a young girl caught in cycles she couldn't escape. Maybe she was running towards something she thought was love, or maybe running from something she couldn't face at home. Either way, her vulnerability put her directly in harm's path. Now, here's where the timeline sharpens. September 8th, the Tesla is checked after complaints of smell. The discovery is made. Between then and September 16th, investigators worked to identify the body. But in those silent days, before the public knew it was Celeste, movements were happening behind closed doors. The raid on the Hollywood Hills property, the sudden move out, the whispers of footage showing suspicious activity. It feels almost like a race, investigators closing in on answers while those under the microscope scramble to protect themselves. And in a way, that's the breakthrough. Not a dramatic confession, not an arrest caught on camera, but the slow, careful tightening of a net. Forensic evidence, digital trails, silent cameras capturing late-night shadows. That's where the truth lives now. It also raises one haunting possibility, that the reason we don't have a cause of death yet, the reason investigators are so careful with their words, is because this case may be bigger than anyone imagined. Maybe it's not just one person. Maybe it involves multiple people, a network, or even those with resources to stall and complicate justice. And this is where we, as viewers, as people watching from the outside, start asking deeper questions. If this happened to Celeste, how many other vulnerable kids are slipping through the cracks? How many stories don't make it to the news because there isn't a famous name attached? When a teenager's life ends like this, hidden away in silence, it forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. Not just about crime, but about society, about power, about who gets protected and who gets forgotten. And now, as investigators continue piecing the puzzle together, we're left waiting for that one decisive moment. The arrest, the charges, the answers that will finally say, this is what happened to Celeste. But until then, it's the questions that keep echoing. When we peel back the layers of Celeste's case, we're left with more than just a crime scene. We're left staring at the fragility of trust, the dangers of influence, and the way silence can sometimes be louder than words. Think about how this story unfolded. A girl who disappeared more than once, found in a way no one could have imagined, tied to a figure millions admired. It's not just shocking, it's unsettling because it forces us to realize how thin the line really is between safety and danger. And that's why the unanswered questions weigh so heavily. Why was a vulnerable 15-year-old circling in and out of missing persons reports with no clear resolution? Who was watching out for her, and who failed her? And most of all, why did her story end in the trunk of that car? This isn't just about the evidence or the investigations. It's about psychology. The way people rationalize their actions, the way secrets are kept, the way appearances can mask reality. If someone did this, what was going through their mind? Was it panic? Was it malice? Or was it a desperate attempt to hide something that had already gone too far? For us watching from the outside, it's easy to chase theories, to link tattoos, to dissect lyrics, to search for patterns where maybe none exist. But underneath the noise, there's a grieving family who has to bury their daughter. There's a community shaken by the fact that someone so young could vanish and end up here. And there's a wider audience wondering, if this could happen to Celeste, how many other stories are we not hearing? That's the real weight of this case. It's not just about one girl and one artist. It's about all of us being forced to see how vulnerable the most innocent among us really are. So I want to leave you with this. What makes someone cross that line from ordinary life into something this dark? Is it chance? Is it power? Is it a lack of conscience? Or is it a mix of all three? And when justice feels slow, when answers are hidden, how long can families, how long can society wait before trust completely breaks down? These are the questions that keep this case alive. And as investigators work toward the truth, we'll keep following every update, every breakthrough, and every piece of the puzzle here on Crime Bits. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, and click that bell icon so you don't miss the next chapter in this story or the next story we uncover. Because if Celeste's case teaches us anything, it's that sometimes the truth doesn't come easily. Sometimes it has to be dug out piece by piece, and together we'll keep digging.